Well, he's not the rank outsider. Anglin Luai is, but he's likely to have some fans as well. He's on fire. What do you make of the market?
Yeah, I think Zipping Kyrgios is a deserving favourite. I thought the market has really reacted to that win of Gatlin from last week. I guess it was such a dominant win, but the question I guess I've got is, was it a one-off? Yeah. Can he replicate that? We've never seen him go anywhere near that fast at Wentworth Park. So, that's the one little maybe discrepancy that we might see come race time.
Yeah. Just in regards to the map, I think there's 3 dogs that you particularly have to be aware of. Yeah. McInerney obviously is a dog that wants to get wide. He's drawn on the inside. He's on fire just for his express pace. And I think Hold Me Up, who's drawn in the yellow, because he's a dog who pretty savagely wants to get across to the fence early.
Yeah, I think the 3 for me that hold the key to the race, one is He's on Fire. I just think it doesn't matter what happens, he will lead. He's just such a brilliant beginner. And then the 2 that are drawn in the middle, Gatlin and He's on Fire, because Gatlin will hold his line, maybe even come up the track a little bit. But as you mentioned, Hold Me Up, he's going to want to crash hard left. So if they're smashing into each other, then does that create an issue for French Martini and Zipping Alabama, who are drawn outside of them? So I think those 3 for me are the ones that hold the key to the race, because I think McInerney, he's going to get clear running anyway, because He's on Fire will jump fast and then come up the track a little bit.
All right, we'll get to have a look at He's on Fire from a middle draw shortly when we review his race and you can see for yourself. But let's kick off with Gatlin, who had box 4 in his heat win. Be worth taking note of Panama Pepper as well, who had the pink, just in case he gets a start, because we did mention when we went through the market, Jacko, he's been kept very safe, and there's a chance, depending on which, if any, greyhounds are scratch, that this dog could even firm into favouritism. But 29.28 for Gatlin. As you said, it wasn't as though he improved 3 or 4 lengths. He improved 10 lengths. Can he do it again?
Yeah, well, that's I guess the $1 million question. Yeah. He was outstanding the other night, calling the race. When I first called him, he was level with Panama Pepper at the judge, and I know Panama Pepper's best attribute is that mid-race speed, and I went back through the field calling them, got back to Gatlin up front, and he's 4 in front. And I was
what's going on here?
I was quite shocked, because I honestly thought Panama Pepper must have checked off his heels. So, he was ridiculous last week, but it's going to be a trickier task from box 5 in a race that we touched on. The draw's probably not a great draw for him, so yeah, it'll be very interesting.
If we take an average time of all of these greyhounds over their past 3 starts, no greyhound has been going quicker than this one, Zipping Alabama. This is the slowest of her recent wins, is it not, Jacko? 29.41? No, 29.52 was. She went 30 odd the other week. As you can see from there, she's not dead set nailed on as a tight railer, so I think box 8 will be okay for her as long as she can get a card into it. And well, with Hold Me Up wanting to crash across and French Martini flashing speed inside of her, I don't think it's out of the question.
No, it's not. Like, I've always thought her best form would be at 600 metres and maybe even beyond that. But where she's improved in her past few is that she's been stepping a lot cleaner. So she's been settling in the first 2 or 3, as we saw last week. And she's so strong late, it's been allowed... he's allowing her to run these ridiculous run home times. The issue will be if she steps cleanly from out there deep. I just don't see how she's going to get across unimpeded. I think her best chance would be to miss the start, cut straight back down underneath those that are drawn just inside of her, and then maybe able to follow them through. Yeah. But if she's within sort of 4 or 5 off the back, she's going to be very dangerous late, because we know she's going to be flashing home.
Zipping Kyrgios has already won 14 races at Wentworth Park, and undoubtedly this will be his most important start there. If he wins on Saturday night, Jacko, he jumps ahead of Fana Bale as the all-time prize money earner in this country. It just worked out perfectly for him, the pink. He lobbed it back at 2 dogs who don't get the strongest 500 in the world. He was always going to win once he worked it out. What do you make of the draw for him in the final?
For me, the draw's perfect, because I don't think he jumps fast enough to be worried by He's on Fire, who will come up, but he's just a lightning beginner. So I think he'll miss He's on Fire early, and then from there he'll just cut back down to the inside, and I expect him to just follow McInerney through, and then he's going to get every chance to be able to run McInerney down. I think the draw's perfect for Kyrgios.
French Martini had box number 1 in the semi-final we're about to watch, and I thought she was tradesman-like here, 29.62, Jacko, to be fair. I was pretty bullish about her chances going into the race. I don't know whether I expected her to go necessarily any quicker, but yeah, comparatively, I suppose maybe a tenth the other side would have been better, but box 7, she's got a good record from it, and as you pointed out on the catching pen, the bloke training her, he's trained 2 winners of this race before, and guess what draw they've had?
Yeah, they've both had box number 7. I guess for me, the interesting part of that race is she stepped very fast, but she wasn't able to punch up and keep outplaying her, who of course is a very fast dog himself. But when she stepped so cleanly, I expected her to go through and lead and keep him away from the inside. So now my question is, from out there in box 7, for me, if she can't get to the front, I just don't think she can win the race. I would be very surprised if she could run down others. If they're leading her at the first turn, with the exception of maybe He's on Fire. So, yeah, the draw for me, whilst Pete has a terrific record from it, I'm just not enamoured with it for her.
All right, this is Hold Me Up, and he has box 5 in the replay you're about to watch. As you can tell, he wants to get as quickly to the fence as possible. He makes his way down there. Aston Barak tries to get over, and it doesn't work out for him. But 29.67 shouldn't really shock anyone. I think anyone who knows this dog week in, week out, Jacko, and I sort of said this to Joe Comito after the race, I think he's one of the most underrated greyhounds in this state.
Yeah, I completely agree. He's a dog you'd love to have, because he always puts himself up in the first 2 or 3 and gives himself every chance to win. He's run 29.67. He would have had to have lost 2 to 3 lengths early of momentum by crashing hard left. So in an ideal world, if he bounced to the front, he could run 29.50 and be some chance. But the issue he's going to have, as we've touched on a couple of times, is he's got Gatlin on his insides, who's going to want to be coming up the track, and then he's going to have He's on Fire at the first turn, who's going to be coming up the track as well. So I feel like he'd have to completely miss any sort of interference and find the rail to be winning, but stranger things have happened.
Absolutely. The next replay we're going to have a look at, and this is the performance of McInerney. 29.68. It's a very, very good run at the best of times, Jacko, but when you just take into account what happened to him there in the first couple of strides, I thought this was an outstanding win. Look, he might not be a dyed-in-the-wool Taswegian, but as Brendan said after the race, Blake had him for a long while, so he definitely waves a bit of a Tasmanian flag. And they've got a great record in this race. Jamela Jet ran second in the inaugural running, and Handsome Prince, of course, took it out when Lagosiani took him over.
And he's not going to get a better chance than Saturday night. Box 1, wide fast beginner drawn to his immediate outside. He's going to get all that clear room, and his greatest asset is that mid-race speed, and he's shown that he loves it at Wentworth Park, which is another big key for a travelling dog as well. He was luckless in the national sprint final, and arguably the top-end talent in that race is better than the top-end talent in this race. So he's going to get every chance from box number 1.
The semi-final we're going to have a look at now is He's on Fire. He has box 3. For all, as Jacko said, he does push up the track later in the straight. His first few strides, though, Jacko, are definitely down towards the fence, and then he comes back up. I don't think there's a dog in Australia that could lead him at the moment.
Not if he steps like he did last week. That was pretty amazing. The last dog I saw step like that was She's a Pearl, who won the $1 Million Chase, of course, in May. So his greatest asset is that early speed. He will get very tired late, but as we spoke with his owner, Tim, on the catching pen, if he found a length or two late in the race, he runs 29.60 out in front. He's going to take a lot of running down.
Yeah, I think the point needs to be made. I think Handsome Prince only ran 70 odd. It's just it's the way you run your race. I'd much rather him out in front getting tired than running 11.40 home from 15 behind him, Jacko. So yeah, I think dismiss him at your peril. And the last dog we're going to have a look at, and he is the outsider of the field, Anglin Luai, but he's a little bit of a fairy tale story in himself, I guess, mainly down to his trainer, J.O. Patea, who's a young fella training his first dog, Jacko. Very, very quietly spoken. Doesn't give a lot away, even emotion-wise, but you could tell he was blown away with I think the achievement here on Friday night.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. His first dog into a $1 Million Chase final, and for me, he's drawn okay in box number 4. Gatlin will probably give him some room early on. He just